friends, welcome to another exciting business studies class. And in today's class, we will be looking at the topic production. Production. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to, number one, define production, 2, identify the types of production, 3, explain each type of production, which are the primary production, the secondary production, and the tertiary production. And 4, state or identify the effects of production on both our environment and the society at large. What is production? Production can best be defined as the making or the creation of goods and also the provision of services, basically for the satisfaction of human wants or human needs. The essence of production is for goods and services to be made available for human use. So production is the act of making or creating goods and services, basically for the satisfaction of human wants. The major purpose of production is to satisfy human wants. You can also say that it involves the transformation or the changing of raw materials into finished goods. That is, for production to take place, the first thing you need to have is your raw materials. Your raw materials are mostly natural things created by God. These are the things changed into other forms which can either be in the finished form or the semi-finished form. So in short, we can simply say that production is the creation of utility. Production is the creation of utility. What do we mean by the word utility? Or when we say that a product has utility, what's the meaning? It means that the product is able to satisfy the need of people. Any product you acquire and it does not satisfy your need, it means that such a product does not have what? Utility. So the purpose of production is for goods and services to be created or made using raw materials for the satisfaction of human wants. Now we move to the types of production. Production can be broadly categorized into 3, namely primary production, the secondary production, and the tertiary production. The primary production, the secondary production, and the tertiary production. So we take them one after the other. We begin by looking at the primary stage of production. Just like I said, while giving the definition, I said the first thing you need to have for production to take place is your raw material. There must be availability of raw materials, and that is what the primary stage gives us. Primary stage involves the extraction of raw materials from nature or from the ground, either from water or from the soil. The extraction, the bringing out of raw materials from nature, that is things created by God, they are all around us, either on the soil or in water. These are the things brought out for production to take place. And we can also refer to the primary production stage as the extractive production stage. So it can be asked in the exam that primary production can also be referred to as dash. It can also be referred to as the extractive stage of production. That means the stage where the raw materials are obtained from ground. And what are the examples of activities carried out under the primary production stage? You have things like mining, gold mining, mining of precious stones. We have oil drilling. We have farming, yes. That is the basic place where these raw materials are gotten from. Our food, like cotton, like cocoa, all these things are used for the creation of other things through the farming activities. We also have fishing. We have quarrying. We have so many of them. All these activities are activities that help us to bring out natural resources from the ground. The next stage after the primary production stage is the secondary stage. This is the stage now where the extracted materials from the primary stage, the extracted materials are changed into finished or semi-finished goods. The secondary stage can be subdivided into two. We have the manufacturing production and the constructive production. Like I said, this secondary stage uses the raw materials gotten from the primary stage to do what? To give us either finished goods or semi-finished goods. What's the difference between finished goods and semi-finished goods? Finished goods are goods that have reached the final stage where it can be used. The final stage where it can be used. While the semi-finished goods, they are goods produced that have not reached the final stage. For example, if animal skin is changed into leather, at that point the leather is still a semi-finished good, though it has been transformed. It has been changed from animal skin to leather, but the leather state is still a semi-finished good. It becomes a finished product when the leather has been changed into bags, shoes, belts, and so many other things. So finished goods are goods that have reached the final stage where it can be used, while the semi-finished goods have not reached that final stage. So let's look at the subdivision of the secondary production. I said we have the manufacturing production and the constructive production. So what do we have under the manufacturing production? This is the stage that involves the changing or the transformation of raw materials. Remember, the raw materials gotten from the primary production into finished goods. For example, we have cotton being changed into fabrics. We have cocoa being changed into beverages. We have gold being changed into jewelries and so many other things. And this manufacturing activity, these activities are basically carried out in industries and in factories. Factories and industries, they assist the transformation or the changing of those finished goods, of these raw materials into either finished goods or semi-finished goods. The next division of the secondary production stage is the constructive production. This is the stage where different finished products or different materials, different finished goods, different finished materials are assembled together to either build or to construct. To construct things like roads, to construct things like bridges, to construct things like houses. Let's take, for example, a building. Looking at a building, there are different materials brought together to build a house. We have the cement. The cement is a processed material on its own. You have the stones. They are processed materials from a different source. You have the roofing sheets already produced. Even looking at the interiors, in your sitting room, you have things like tables, chairs, televisions. All these are already finished goods, but they are now brought together to do what? To create something entirely different. So this constructive stage, it involves assembling different finished goods to build or to construct things, to build factories, to construct roads, railway stations, airports, seaports, so many things. This is what we have under the constructive production stage. And you have people like the engineers, you have people like architects, you have people like carpenters, bricklayers, working under this constructive production stage. The third stage of production, or the third classification of production, is the tertiary production, or we can also call it tertiary services. This stage, it's all about the production of services. Remember, in the definition of production, we said it's the making of goods and services. So which means services are also produced. So it's not only goods that are produced. Services are also what? Produced. Services are like helps rendered to people in which you pay a fee. It can either be rendered to individuals, group of people, or to the public. So the tertiary service talks about is centered on the production of services. And this tertiary production stage can be subdivided into two also, namely the commercial services and the direct services. The commercial services and the direct services. So you can see that this area is the production of service. So let's look at what the commercial services are into. The commercial services are involved in the distribution and the exchange of products which have already been produced or made available by man. The essence of production is not just to produce goods as a producer and leave it in your factory. No. These goods are meant to be moved from your factory to the market where they are what? Where they will be used or bought by the consumer. So how are these products moved from your factory or from the factory to the market for sale or for use by the consumers? This is made available by or through the commercial service. They assist in the distribution and the exchange of products through the aids to trade. In one of our videos, we looked at aids to trade, those activities that support and enhance trade. So all the aids to trade brought together, they contribute to the distribution and the exchange of the products which have already been produced at the manufacturing stage. The main essence of this distribution, like I said, is for these goods to be what? To be accessible to the consumers. The consumers are the end users of products. For production to completely take place, there is a chain, there is a line of distribution. The products are moved from the producers to the wholesalers. The wholesalers buy in bulk from the producers. From the wholesalers, it moves to the retailers. The retailers buy from the wholesalers in smaller quantities. Then from the retailers, it moves to the final consumers. The final consumers are regarded as the end users of products. And production, the reason why production takes place is for the product or the material to be used by the consumers. So for this to take place, the commercial service assist in the distribution and the exchange of those goods. And remember, our aids to trade, we have transportation, communication, warehousing, insurance, banking, and so on. Under the tertiary service, like I said, we also have the direct services. These direct services are services in which individuals benefit from. Individuals benefit from these services directly from the service providers. That's why we call it a direct service. It's a service in which the service is enjoyed by the direct recipients of such a service. Remember, for every service rendered, there must be a fee attached to it. We also have indirect services. These ones are rendered to the general public. Those ones are mostly paid for by the government. But for direct services, they are services that are paid for by the beneficiary of such a service. These services are rendered to individuals or to a certain group of people by the service provider. And we have examples of people that render direct services. We have people like the doctors. They treat you one-on-one. When you are sick, you go to a doctor and you are treated one-on-one, and you also pay the doctor for such a service. You also have the nurses. When the nurses attend to you in the clinic or directly to you in your homes, you also pay for it. You also have the private teachers. You pay for them. You pay for their service. You have your cooks at home, your stewards. You pay for the services rendered to you through them. We also have fashion designers and so many others. All these are direct service providers. So the main purpose of production, like I said, is for we humans to be able to have access to things that can make life easier and better for us. Imagine if you live in an environment where you don't have access to good food, good water, good clothes, good shelter. Will you be comfortable in such an environment? The answer is no. But production helps to bring about all these things around you. So you can see how important production is to individuals and even to the general public. Now let's look at the effects of production on the environment and the society. We have looked at the different ways through which production can take place, from the obtaining of raw materials to the distribution of the goods to the consumers. Now let's look at the effects of production. We'll first of all look at the positive effects of production. The production activities are important in so many ways. Number one, production helps in job creation. Through production, jobs are created. The producers who are in charge of manufacturing these products is a means of creating jobs for themselves. The people who are into the distribution of the goods, they are also what? Creating jobs for themselves by rendering services to you. The people who also assist in distributing the goods to you, the sellers in the market, all those people, they are into what? Job creation. They have been able to create jobs for themselves through what? Through production. So production, it's a means of creation of jobs. So many people, you see them today, they are involved in creation of things as little as production of liquid soaps, snacks, and so many other things. So it's not just all about the quantity or the size of what is produced. The major thing is that something has been produced, and that thing contains utility, which is able to satisfy your own need. The second important or another effect of production is it helps in the development of the society. It helps in the development of the society. When we look at the tertiary, under the constructive production, we looked at creation of building of or construction of roads, bridges, railway stations, factories. All these things enhance the development of the society. Also under our commercial production, we looked at the aids to trade. All these aids to trade, they contribute to the development of the society. A society that engages in good trading activities, that kind of environment or that kind of society will definitely enjoy development, because people will love to live in such an environment because they feel that whatever they need is made available to them through production. Another effect of production is efficiency in goods distribution to where they are needed. This is under the commercial services that assist in the distribution of goods. Remember I told you something, I said production is not complete until the goods are used by the consumers. The main purpose or the main essence of production is not just to create goods and live in the store or the factory. It is for that particular product to be able to meet the need of people. So if products have been produced and there is no way for these goods to be distributed, there is a setback somewhere. But production contains also the creation of not just creating the goods, but also the effective distribution and the exchange of these goods to where they are needed. That's the reason why even goods produced in other countries, you still see them in Nigeria for our use. This is still part of production. Another effect of production on our environment and society is it helps in the development of good road networks, airports, railways, and so many other facilities. We looked at this under the constructive stage, which is the secondary stage of production, the constructive stage that helps in the building of good roads, bridges, airports, railway stations, seaports, and so many other things. And as we all know, any environment or any society that has all these good facilities around them, such an environment will enjoy a better trading activity or better trading activities. The last effect of production we have here is the society is developed. And so far as society is developed, it will definitely lead to the improvement of your standard of living. Why do you think people are moving from the rural areas to the urban areas? It is because the urban areas are able to give them things that they need. And that is one of the things that you enjoy through production. It helps in the improvement of the standard of living of people. You want something, you are able to get it. It's different from you have money, but there is nothing to purchase with your money. So far you have your money, the things to buy with it, they are all available around you, and all these things are made available through production. So all these are the effects, the positive effects of production in the environment and also in our society. So you can see that we have so many things to benefit from production. For every activity, there are advantages and disadvantages. So production has its own positive effects. It also has negative effects on the environment and the society at large. So let's look at the negative effects of production on the environment and society. What are the adverse effects, the negative effects of production? Number one, carbon dioxide is released into the air from industries and factories. If you look at some environments where they have so many factories and industries, they suffer a lot of air pollution through the release of carbon dioxide and some other poisonous gases from their production machines. And all these pollute the environment, which is not also good. So in as much as we are benefiting from what has been produced, the release of this harmful air into the atmosphere also has its own adverse effects on the people that inhale such gases. Another negative effect of production is waste materials dumped into the environment can sink into the river and seas to pollute them. You see some factories, some industries where these production activities are carried out. They don't have a good, proper way of disposing their waste. Some of them, they litter the environment with the waste. And when these waste materials are littered around the environment, most times when rain falls, the rain washes these dirty materials into rivers and different bodies of water, which eventually pollutes them. Automatically, the living things, the living organisms inside such water body will definitely die and be affected. So the waste materials dumped around can also do what? It's also environmental pollution, littering the environment with dirty things, and also they eventually flow into rivers, seas to pollute them. So you can see that that is a very negative effect. Another adverse effect of production is production can lead to various health issues. Health issues like cancer, obesity, and stress. If we want to compare the olden days and the modern day, comparing the two, you realize that the kind of sicknesses attacking people now, it's on the other, it's something else. Why is this so? Most of them are caused through eating of so many things that you don't even know what they are even made of. People are dying every day of cancer because of the different food or different things that they put into their body. Things that you don't even know what it's made of. So production can lead to different health issues. People suffering from obesity because they eat too much of fatty food that have high calories and all that. And also, it can cause stress. Production can also cause stress. When you engage in production and you don't have rest, every day you are producing one thing or the other, it can also cause stress. All this can affect your health. Then lastly, we have excavation in extractive industries leave big holes that can lead to gully erosions and landslides. Most people that are engaged in the extractive industry, which we also refer to as the primary stage of production, digging, mining, looking for one natural resource or the other, they use this to leave big holes on the ground, and these can cause erosion and landslide, which is not also good for our environment and also the society at large. So you can see that we have the positive effects and we also have the negative effects of production. But the truth is this: if the people that are involved in production, if they are able to manage their production activities very well, all these adverse effects can either be totally eradicated or reduced to the minimum level. So that's what we have for today. But before we go, let's take a quick recap of what we have learned. We started by looking at the definition of production. I defined production as the creation of goods and the provision of services, basically for the satisfaction of human wants. And I said production is also the creation of utility. I explained what utility is: ability of a product being able to satisfy your need. Then we further classified production into three categories, into three stages. We have the primary production, which we can also call the extractive production stage. This stage, I said, involves the bringing out or the extraction of raw materials, natural resources, either from the ground or from water. And this stage is referred to as the first stage of production, the extraction of natural resources. The second stage is the secondary stage, which involves the changing or the transforming of the natural resources into finished or semi-finished goods. And under the secondary stage, we looked at the manufacturing production stage and the constructive production stage. The third stage, we looked at the tertiary production stage, which involves the provision of services. So the tertiary production stage is the stage that assists in the distribution and the exchange of what has been produced from the secondary stage. And this is the stage that makes production complete. Remember, production is not complete until what has been produced has been used. Because the main essence of production is to do what? Is to satisfy human wants or human needs. We also looked at the positive effects and the negative effects of production. We have the positive effect. It helps in the development of our environment through creation of facilities, job creation. It's increased our standard of living and so many other ones. We also looked at the negative effects. Air pollution, environmental pollution can also cause adverse effects on our health. The continuous excavation of natural resources from the ground can leave big holes, which can cause gully erosion or landslides. So this is where we draw the curtain for today's lesson. But before we go, let's go to our exam guide to take some questions to be sure that we understood what production is all about. I take the first question. The first question says, the conversion of raw materials into finished goods is categorized under dash production. The conversion or the transformation of raw materials into finished goods is categorized under dash production. A, you have constructive. B, you have commercial. C, you have secondary. D, you have primary. E, you have extractive. The answer here is C, the secondary stage. This secondary stage involves the manufacturing stage and the constructive stage. The manufacturing stage is the stage where the conversion of raw materials into finished goods take place. The next question says, which of the following is concerned with primary production? Remember, we looked at primary production as the first stage of production. So which of the following is concerned with primary production? We have the manufacturing, B, commercial activity, C, service, D, constructive industry, E, extractive industry. The answer is E, extractive industry. I told you that another name for the primary production stage is the extractive production stage. This is the stage where raw materials are gotten from nature. The next question says the process of creating goods and services to satisfy human wants defines dash. Is it selling or trading or production or service or marketing? The answer is C, production. Production is the creation or the making of goods and services, basically to satisfy human wants. Another question, the final users of a product are called dash. Remember, I made mention of this. Is it the retailers or customers or wholesalers or consumers or producers? So which of these can we refer to as the final user of a product? The final user of a product is referred to as the consumers. We can also call them the end users of a product. Another question, one of the positive effects of production of goods and services on the society is dash. Remember, we looked at positive effects and negative effects. So which of this is one of the positive effects of production? Is it job creation or low standard of living or economic instability or environmental pollution or overpopulation? One of the positive effects of production is job creation. Production assists in the creation of jobs. Let's take the last question, which says, production is not complete until goods get to the dash. Is it to the suppliers or to the agents or to retailers or to consumers or to wholesalers? Production is not complete until goods get to the consumers. And that's why we refer to the consumers as the end users of product. They are the purpose for which production takes place. So the answer is D, consumers. So this is where we draw the curtain for today's class. See you in the next class. Bye for now.